Well, I'm still in my last stages of hopefully it is, of my initial sinusitis, probably turned bronchitis that I actually have. So where it eased up on the nose and the color of the mucus, a better position, color, then comes to the chest. Because when you got post-nasal drip, you don't know what that is, your mucus from your nose, from your allergies or sinusitis, goes back to your throat, into your lungs, and creates something that we call mucus. And you could sometimes make a judgment on what's going on by the color of your mucus, but that's not necessarily true. Because sometimes your mucus turns certain colors because your immune system is fighting off this virus or whatever it might be, and therefore you get different coloration. You could have yellow, thick yellow, you could have green, thick green, you could have clear, which is, well, you're preferable. You could have white and foamy, which means you're kind of dehydrated. So what do you do on something like this? You just do a lot of fluids, a hell of a lot of fluids. And by the way, when a lot of people take Benadryl, it's a good med, but let me tell you something about Benadryl. The Benadryl will kind of dry you up. It'll kind of make your mucus thicker and harder to expectorate. So just a little note for that. Benadryl is a good antihistamine, but it does other things too. But it can really dry you out. Now, I just spent like 20 minutes with my nebulizer, and I didn't use anything in there like albuterol. I used a saline solution. That helps break up mucus and clear your passageways. Something as simple as that, if you can practice, you do a couple times a day. Just clean the equipment afterwards, disinfect it. Simple things that you can do. If you're living in the Philippines, I'm going to tell you something. You may have never had any allergy problems or problems with any environment that you've lived in before, but I will tell you it is challenging to live in a lot of different places in the Philippines because of the uncontrolled pollution and so forth, and carbon imprint is leaving here in this particular country. It's not an easy thing if you're an asthma sufferer, if that's what you are. You suffer from bronchitis, you suffer from either asthma or whatever, or you have allergies. It's a very difficult place. And unfortunately, you can't get some good over-the-counter medicines out here. You know, like pseudoephedrine, a real pseudoephedrine, because it's, they use it to make drugs. Can't get it out here. So if you have friends that are in the States, I want to send you a little care package. They'll include, it's expensive, but numerous bottles of that and other products that you just can't get out here, man. Because you're really subject to what the Philippines offers you. You can't even get Allegra, Allegra D, which is Allegra decongestant serum. All you can get is Allegra allergy relief. You can't get the Allegra D. There's so many limited things that you just can't get in the Philippines. And here's something interesting that maybe you didn't know too. Vicks Vapor Rub. I know, as a kid, your mom rubbed them over your chest. Sometimes kids went and tried to eat it very bad. It's made in part with camphor oil. And if anything, it's not good to apply to nasal passages because of the camphor oil. It can be very damaging. You could put it on your throat. You could try rubbing it on your chest, but you know what Vicks is all about? It's a psychological thing. You smell the menthol and you think that it's actually doing something. It could help a little bit on the chest, really. It actually could, on the neck. But on your nose, in your nose, I wouldn't do it. It's just for what I read actually today about Vicks Vapor Rub. You grew up with that, I'm sure. See, a lot of little things you just didn't know. You just have to read about it. A lot of you people are taking over-the-counter medicines that either don't do shit or they interact badly with another medicine you might be taking. So, in a sense, yes, you have to be your own doctor. So is there a doctor in the house? Well, if you're living out here, you may have to be your own doctor and do the research. When you've got symptoms for something, and try to figure it out for yourself and then compare it to what a general practitioner. But I would seriously not go to a general practitioner for a specific concern. Okay. See a pulmonologist or see an upper respiratory type of doctor or whatever. somebody who specializes. I mean, you could get the paranasal cavities in your nose and sinuses. You could have that, do a sonogram on that, do an ultrasound on that to see if there's any blockages or polyps or anything like that. Sometimes you have to spend money, and sometimes you have to go through all these steps to get answers, because you're generally not going to get an answer. Don't be like Fazio, who goes to these $2 payment, doctors, and they're giving him false information, which they have many times, because I've listened to his shows when he had illnesses, and boy, they were telling him wrong, everything from his fasting and all that stuff. I had a prediction for Fazio, and I still do, and who knows, I might be right. But I base my predictions on performance. Performance meaning what I witness, what they tell me, some of the illnesses they've gone through, their height, their age, their weight, and their diet. It doesn't take a specialist to understand when somebody's doing something wrong. All those Texas steaks all the time, somebody likes to consume them. It's not a great idea, but I am not your doctor, nor am I a doctor, so some of these things you have to actually learn on your own. There are limits of what you can do, there are limits of what you can eat, and there's some people that just don't believe in anything. They don't believe in supplementation, but I could go through a whole freaking speech about that and why people generally need some kind of vitamin and mineral supplementation. I talked about that before. Everybody's body is different. And the foods are not containing all the antioxidants they used to be really naturally enriched with over the years. There's the environmental changes. There's so much factors out there. It's amazing we're even alive. That's why I always talk about that show, 1001 Ways to Die. They don't have that on anymore. It was an interesting show, if not only because they made you aware that how precious life is, and you could be having a jolly old day, man. If something hits you from somewhere, from a building, or a plane part falls from the sky, or these two stoners, man. That was my favorite one. They were just stoned out of their mind, and they ran out of weed, but they still had some, zigzag paper. So they found some plant and decided to roll it up and smoke it. Well, sounds good. Nature, plants, right? It's nature, right? Yeah. Turned out it was poisoned sumac. So they all three of them died on the spot. Okay, so, you got to research what you do. And maybe I did should have went into a different direction. I just couldn't get by to, the advanced math and chemistry, really. That was my problem. I could have gone into a medical field of some sort. I've always had an interest, but that didn't happen. So, sometimes you have to be your own doctor. And I really don't suggest you trying to treat something serious if you don't know really what it is. Always get a doctor's advice and then get another doctor's advice for something you think might be serious, perhaps, and formulate your own opinion. But you can't be afraid to ask these guys any question, okay? Challenge them. You're paying the guys, you know what I'm saying? You're paying these guys. They're supposed to know their business. And you could disagree with them. That's why you get a second, even a third opinion, if it's important enough to you. So the law of odds or averages or whatever says that, well, the consensus is that out of the three people, two of them agree at least. Well, you'll probably go with that conclusion. But they're probably right. 2 opinions out of 3 is good. Only 1 out of 3 is not good. Okay, there's your extra health session there. No, I'm alive. I'm fine. I'm just dealing with this fucking sinusitis. And remember, you're living out here. Everybody is burning trash, and it's really hard to stay away from this shit. You smoke, whether you know it or not. I hate to tell you that if you're living in this Philippines. Probably worse than cigarettes. But what you're breathing in every single day, and if you happen to smoke in combination with all that, I guess you are kind of fucked, and I'm kind of fucked. So, I'm going to have to schedule a time in the very near future to just quit altogether and relieve my allergy symptoms, sinusitis. It'd be amazing, actually, because what you're actually doing, if you happen to be a smoker, okay, whether you're into vaping or cigarettes or cigars or whatever it might be, you're actually exacerbating your present allergy or sinusitis or bronchitis, whatever it is that you happen to have. So it's going to take longer for this shit to dissipate and, get back to normal. Because you're just kind of aggravating the situation, obviously, right? Pretty obvious. Okay, that's my show. That's it. What else you want to hear?